Hi guys, today I am going to show you how to create sheet metal parts in SolidWorks. So before we do that, before we start working on today's tutorial, uh, I would like to talk about quick overview of sheet metal. So sheet metal is basically the flat pieces of metal. They come in various thicknesses. There are many parts that are made up of sheet metal. uh, some examples can be your car body is made up of sheet metal, right? uh, then your roof is sometimes also made up of sheet metal. So various parts that are made out of flat pieces of metal that comes in various thicknesses can be classified as sheet metal parts. uh, and sheet metal part design requires some specific technical things that are related to very specific to sheet metal. So that's why we have a special module in SolidWorks that we can use to create sheet metal parts. And I'm going to introduce you to that module today. I'm just going to do one simple exercise. uh, but before we go to SolidWorks, I would like to bring your attention to these manufacturing methods involved in sheet metal. For example, punching, rolling, embossing, and notching. These are some of the manufacturing methods associated with sheet metal. So I'm not going to talk much about the theory of that. You can search on internet. You can read in the textbook. My focus is to show you how to uh, design a sheet metal part. So let's work on this simple exercise. Let's see. Let's see which one we can work on. So here, if you look at this particular tutorial, you have this design that is shown here. This particular sheet metal part we want to design in SolidWorks. So without further ado, let's get started. Uh, I'm gonna start SolidWorks part file. Uh, the units is in IPS inches. That's all good. And so I'm just gonna keep things default here. Click OK. And now let's see. Some taking some time. Okay, looks like we are good to go here. Maybe I will minimize that. Then right now, I don't have a sheet metal tab activated here. So we have these two tabs we are all familiar with: Sketch tab and Features tab. Uh, Most of the time we work on these two tabs. But to get to the sheet metal, I'm gonna right click on one of these tabs, and let's see. I have an option called sheet metal right here, so I'm going to activate that. Okay, and that gives me a special tab made for sheet metal part design. Okay, so we have some commands here are activated. Some commands are grayed out, but as we start modeling, some of them will become active as and when we need them. So there are various methods to create sheet metal parts in SolidWorks, but I'm going to just touch upon one of these methods today. So let's click on front plane, and we're going to make a sketch on the front plane. So I will right click on front plane and sketch. Okay, sketch that I want to make is a line that is passing through origin. Okay, and what I will do is I will uh, select the line, control key press and hold, and select the origin, and I will click on midpoint option here. So basically what I did is I selected the line and the origin, and I activated the midpoint option. That means the midpoint of that line will be on the origin. So that's that. Then I'm going to draw another line, a vertical line. Okay, let's dimension these lines. Horizontal line is 4 inches long, and the length of the vertical line is 2 inches. Okay, so the sketch is complete. So far so good. It's all completely black, that means it is fully defined. Then we exit the sketch mode, and we now we have a basic sketch from which we can create uh, our base flange for our sheet metal part. So on the sheet metal tab, we have this option called base flange slash tab. So you can click on that, and you can already see the feature that is taking shape here. You can enter 0.125 for thickness, 0.125 for the thickness of the sheet metal. Okay, and for bend radius, let's see, for bend radius you can use 0.03. Here it is, the bend radius 0.03. And I guess you're gonna need uh, some depth here. Right now it is zero point 0.1, but that I will change to maybe 2 inches. And as you can see, that's looking good to me. We have the so once again we selected the base flange feature from the sheet metal tab. We had a basic sketch to start with, right? Then we defined the three things with, and there are many things that you can explore this on your own. But in this case, we provided three specific inputs. We decided the thickness of the sheet metal is 0.125 inches right here, and then bend radius is 0.03, that is that, and the depth is 2 inches. So looking good. I'm gonna click OK here and complete that first part. Okay, next I'm going to uh, like, if you look at this now, so we created our base flange, and now we will create another base flange. So let's work on that. We will create this portion here. Let's work on that. So I'm going to draw a line. uh, that line will be on top of this flange that I created. So here I'm going to select this surface, and I'm going to draw a new sketch on that. Not edit sketch. Edit sketch means I will open the previous sketch. I want to create a new sketch on the top of this surface, right? So click sketch, and then I'm going to draw a horizontal line from this corner. Okay, make sure your line is horizontal. The length of that line is 1 inch. 1 inch. So that sketch is complete. Can exit the sketch, and we are going to, so we have this base flange, then we created a sketch, and now we are going to use that sketch to create something called as miter flange. And as I was saying before, many of these options here that were grayed out in the beginning, now they are all activated, so we can use them. So the option that I want to use is miter flange. So it's right here, miter flange. And as this line is selected, I'm just going to click on miter flange, and I have to select the proper edges here. So that edge one and this edge two. So basically, we are creating this flange here, right, which is a miter flange. So we created that. The length, let's see, I think all good. We don't need any more inputs here. We just stick with the default options, and I can click OK here, and that creates your miter flange. So let me put it back in isometric orientation. Then next thing, we want to create an edge flange. Now we are going to work on this flange here, that is on this particular edge, so we call it edge flange. So let's work on that. You can select the edge flange option on the sheet metal tab. So that is right here, edge flange. Okay, and you are going to select the edge on which the flange should be made, and that is this external edge here. Okay, and then we have to, of course, provide some inputs. For example, and this should be on this side actually. uh, so I clicked on this side, and let's see, uh, how what should be the length of this flange in this direction, right? So that input is 1.5 inches. 1.5. Okay, and another thing we can do is, there are few options here. Let's see, flange position, and you can see, uh, right now it says material inside, but I'm going to select the second option, and you will see here what happens when I select the second option, material outside. So I wanted to have the material outside option, uh, and that's good, everything looking good now. So I can go ahead and click OK. So here we go. Now we have to cut a hole in this feature, but or in this part, the you will see that the half of the hole is on this top plate, and half of the hole is on this vertical portion. So that makes it interesting. So we want to cut a similar hole. To do that, what we will do is we will first unfold this edge here. So we'll bring them in one plane. Both the surfaces will bring them in one plane. So we can cut a hole. So we will unfold these. We'll cut a hole, and then we'll fold this edge back. Okay. So let's use unfold option here. Fixed face. Uh, we can. There are two inputs here. Okay. I just moved it too much here, so I gotta put it back in isometric orientation. Okay, so for fixed face, I'm going to select this. There are two inputs, fixed face and bends to unfold. So for fixed face, I'm going to select this, and bends to unfold is going to be this bend, and click OK. And you can see by unfolding them, now they are in the same plane, so we can easily cut a hole in this, and then we will fold the bend back. Okay, so to cut a hole, we have to uh, draw a sketch, and on this surface here. So I'm going to select this surface, and we can use option extruded cut. So that option, again, that option is also available on the features tab, extruded cut. But for easy access, that option is also made available on the sheet metal tab. So extruded cut here. Let's draw a circle. First I have to select extruded cut. Okay, then I am automatically in the sketch mode. So I select the circle command, and I'm going to draw a, and I'm going to try to keep this on the midpoint of this horizontal edge, right? uh, let me be a little more clear here. I'm gonna look normal too, so I can look straight on that plane, and I'm just going to draw a freely flowing circle. I'm not going to attach it to any edge or line, or otherwise it will get stuck to that. Okay, all I try to do is make sure that it is vertically aligned with the midpoint of this edge. That's all I did. Okay, let's do some dimensioning. So let's dimension this circle. Smart dimension, and the diameter of this circle is 0.75 inches. That's the diameter. It's still blue, that means the sketch is not fully defined. Next I will draw a center line option here, and I'm going to draw a center line from the midpoint of this edge to the center of the circle. Okay, the line should be vertical, and the length of that line is 1.5 inches. So use smart dimension, and 1.5 inches is the length of that line. So that's, now you can see it's fully defined, completely black. That's all good. You can now exit the sketch, and you have to cut it. Now cut it the whole through all it passes through all. Okay, and there is your hole. Now next thing, and the last thing, we're almost done with this tutorial. The last thing is we have to fold this back, and then we're done, right? So I'm going to put this in isometric orientation, and I'm going to select on the sheet metal tab, I'm going to select option fold. Okay, fixed face can be that face that we have, and we already have this as our fixed face. And for bends to fold, I'm going to select this bend, and let's click OK, and it we folded it back, and here is this goes how that hole looks, as you can see. And that completes this tutorial. This is how you make sheet metal part in SolidWorks. So thank you. You have to practice it on your own to get a grip on this. But I will stop this video here now. Thank you.